said, oh, maybe it was because of the flag. I was like, no. Anyway, when I got out of prison and I got my stored prop, there was the photos with Edie draped in the flag with all the different country flags and the other children, but I wasn't allowed it.
That is Orwellian bureaucracy.
It's madness.
That is really nasty.
So,
you can't even see a photo of your own kid representing her country holding her national flag.
No, apparently not.
That's a disgrace.
The left is up in arms over Lucy Connolly's appearance at the Reform UK conference. Now, again, I find this just totally pathetic that their answer, the left's answer to trying to combat the surging popularity of Reform UK and Nigel Farage is to target the people connected to the party, target the people speaking at their conference with the suggestion that they should be deplatformed. Indeed, isn't it always the suggestion of the left when they're in trouble? Silence, cancel, censor. I'm sick of it. You will know that I have followed Lucy Connolly's story from the beginning. I have been there from the start when the mainstream media, including GB News and the Daily Mail and Talk TV, were trying to deride this woman as some type of racist. Now, quite rightly, thanks to the work here on Outspoken and my friend Alison Pearson pushing her story into the stratosphere in the mainstream media via the Daily Telegraph, she is quite rightly seen by sane people in Britain as the face of two-tier policing, as the face of a government that wants to censor people for speech, just like we've seen with Gary Linehan over the weekend. And there was an extraordinary moment during this session at the Reform UK conference at the weekend, in discussion with Alison Pearson and Liam Halligan of the Planet Normal podcast, where Lucy Connolly revealed that one of the photos of her daughter Edie was censored in prison simply because she was holding the Union Jack flag. Watch. Big news! Outspoken is now available as a podcast too. So please do subscribe wherever you get yours, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and make sure you rate and review. I'll take 5 stars, if you may.
Edie was selected to represent our country at the World Junior Championships. Amazing. And about a month ago, she went to the World Junior Championships and Proud Dad was there taking pictures. All the girls were posing with their national flags, Australia, Germany, America, and Edie, of course, representing our country. And Ray sent to Lucy in prison pictures of their daughter and all the other girls with their national flags. And Lucy got in touch with Ray and said, hang on, there's 5 photos you've sent me that have been censored. Which child with a flag were you not allowed to see, Lucy?
My own. Because she was, I didn't know why at the time, so I rang Ray and I said, oh, these photos you sent me, you know, I assumed that maybe she was in a bikini or something like that, because you can understand why they wouldn't put, you know, let you have those on your wall or whatever. He said, no, they were all Edie just playing golf and the plants in the garden and stuff. And he said, oh, maybe it was because of the flag. I was like, no. Anyway, when I got out of prison and I got my stored prop, there was the photos with Edie draped in the flag with all the different country flags and the other children, but I wasn't allowed it.
That is Orwellian bureaucracy.
It's madness.
That is really nasty.
So,
you can't even see a photo of your own kid representing her country holding her national flag.
No, apparently not.
That's a disgrace.
And what's so interesting about Lucy Connolly's new role within Reform UK, even though it's unofficial at this point, is that she wants to deal with the issue of prison reform in quite a fascinating way, because she obviously doesn't believe that she should have been in prison, but she also doesn't believe that the Labour councillor, Ricky Jones, should have gone to prison either. There were lots of people in jail who Lucy Connolly doesn't want to be in prison. So she wants to have an actual debate about this. And given we do have a prison shortage, a crisis in terms of our lack of cell spaces at the moment, perhaps she's someone we should listen to, given she has experience, but not according to Dan Hodges. Not according to Dan Hodges, the mainstream media gatekeeper of the Mail on Sunday, who just raged about the fact that not only Lucy Connolly was platformed, but also Aseem Malhotra, an old friend of mine who has been incredible over the COVID period, now has lots of issues with the vaccine, and suggested on stage that some members of the royal family may have been diagnosed with cancer as a result of the COVID jab. Well, Dan Hodges posted in regards to both of these two people. Reform Conference was very well managed. There was an energy and a buzz surrounding the whole event. But the decision to close the conference with Lucy Connolly and a mad US anti-vaxxer shows they still have a significant way to go before locking in mainstream public opinion. Well, Liam Halligan of the Daily Telegraph's Planet Normal, who hosted that interview with Lucy Connolly, shot back. He posted, Dan, I considered you a friend. And I go, way back. You and I go way back. But I'm concerned that you have casually dissed a media event I am involved with as bonkers. Did you listen to Lucy Connolly's interview today with myself and Alison Pearson? Have you clocked that Lucy Connolly lost her son aged 19 months and gets seriously alarmed when kids are subjected to harm, as she was in the aftermath of the Southport massacre? Have you understood that the police distorted the evidence of Lucy's testimony to paint her as a racist, something the police acknowledged when they were forced to resubmit the record of her testimony? Lucy has explained in more than one interview that she pleaded guilty because she was given duff legal advice, that by doing so she would be home by Christmas, and as a bereaved mum, that was her overwhelming priority. Accuse me of bad faith. Accuse Alison Pearson if you must. But you were 100% wrong to question the motives and integrity of a grieving mum who made a mistake, to which she has freely admitted, as she did again today, and who was absolutely desperate to get back to her traumatized surviving child. But Dan Hodges replied, to be honest, I still can't actually believe you opted to provide a platform for a self-confessed racist criminal on the stage of a major party conference. But Liam wasn't done. He tried again. You haven't engaged with any of the points I made about the specifics of the case. I am a serious journalist. I consider you to be the same. Engage, FFS. But all Dan Hodges would say was, quote, I am a serious journalist and I think you might want to reflect on what you did today. Alison Pearson then had a go, writing to Dan Hodges, just stop it, Dan. On the day of Lucy's sentencing, an African dad of a little girl Lucy looked after had his visa hearing. Lucy filled in his application. She had so many testimonials from non-white parents she adored. Lucy is not a racist. She was railroaded into saying she was the opposite of who she is. The police who altered her statement are now under investigation. Dan Hodges hit back again. No, I won't stop at Alison. She was accused of a racially aggravated offence. She admitted to the offence. She went to jail for the offence. Your attempt to absolve her by citing a series of meaningless anecdotes is irrelevant. To which Alison replied, seriously? The justice system was traduced to make an example of a good person. Police twisted her statement. Child abusers and Labour MPs who punch and kick constituents get lower sentences, and evidence of good character is not meaningless anecdotes. So, perfect guest for this subject, Daniel Shensmith, the black belt barrister. So, Daniel, this is fascinating on so many levels, right? Because surely even though Lucy Connolly pleaded guilty, and of course, in my interview with her here on Outspoken, she said she highly regretted that. She is now taking legal action against the police, who, remember, admitted that the statement that they released was skewed. She had not expressed racist views in her interview. She had expressed views that the vast majority of the country share, that illegal immigrants should not be allowed to come to this country undocumented and that we should have some type of idea who they are. But the fact is, she has been released now. We don't see this type of snobbery around Jeffrey Archer, for example, when he is talking about his time in prison. At the end of the day, I believe she had a right to be on that stage, and I don't believe Reform UK should be pilloried for it. Am I wrong? But first, you know I never recommend anything unless I truly believe in it. And today I've got something absolutely game-changing for you. Have you ever stopped to think about how crucial comfort is, especially down there? Well, let me tell you, today's Outspoken is proudly sponsored by Sheath Underwear, the revolutionary brand shaking up men's comfort across the globe. And here's what makes it even better. Sheath was founded by a brilliant US Army veteran, Robert Patton, while he was serving in Iraq back in 2007. So that's right, this isn't just an underwear brand. It was designed for the toughest conditions imaginable. Patton was battling relentless heat and discomfort in full combat gear, and he thought there has to be a better way. And there is, because he created it. Let's be honest, traditional underwear just doesn't cut it anymore. Sheath's innovative dual pouch design ensures your comfort all day long, keeping things separate, cool and fresh. Imagine your essentials being comfortably cradled away from unwanted friction and heat. Trust me, it is a genuinely transformative product. I have tested it at the gym, on long days at work, and I'm telling you, once you've experienced Sheath, there simply is no turning back. They're stylish, they're supported, and they deliver unmatched comfort. It's like upgrading from economy to first class, but for your underwear. So right now, I'm offering you a 20% discount. It is exclusive at sheath.com. So 20% off your entire order. All you have to do is use my special promo code Outspoken at checkout. Sheath is the perfect present, by the way, if you're looking for something for your husband, your son, your brother, or hard to buy for mates. But if you are a lady and you end up on the website, you will see there are female versions available too. This is really cool as well. Sheath, did you know, was the first official underwear of the UFC. So you can go to sheath.com or just click on the link below, enter Outspoken on checkout, and then you can thank me later when you're feeling comfortable, confident, and ready to tackle anything your day throws at you. Sheath underwear, redefining comfort one pair at a time. But now, back to the show.
There's three things here, and I'll answer that one first, so in reverse order. It's absolutely right that she's on that stage because she has a story to tell and she has her side to put across. So regardless of what happened, she's entitled to be there. They are entitled to give her a platform, and that is the very nature of free speech. Now, there's two other things, important things here. One which underpins everything, and it underpins the protests, it underpins national policies. One cannot and must not fall into the trap of conflating views on immigration with racism. I make every effort to make clear that these things are not at all to do with race or religion. If somebody firmly makes those views, then they might be extremist and that might be wrong. But to have a view on immigration, to curb illegal migration and so on, those views are not automatically racist. And I think they were chalked up to be for Lucy Connolly. The third thing is, we often have a discussion around guilty, not guilty, these kind of things. Now, there is a point of principle here. Being found not guilty after a trial doesn't mean you didn't do it or they didn't do it. It's not the same as innocent. They just weren't found guilty because the evidence wasn't sufficient to reach the standard required. Now, I think there's an interesting point here with Lucy Connolly's case because she touches on duff legal advice. Now, one of the really rare points of appeal is that your legal advice to plead guilty was so bad that you could have a point of appeal against your conviction. And therefore, I mean, you need the court's permission to change your plea. I don't know if that was explored at all. Probably not because of the timeframes and so on. But it is a rare point of appeal. Now, I would put this in people's mind to consider. Whilst not guilty finding in court is not the same as innocent, it's not the same as they didn't do it, it's just it wasn't good enough. How about this? Someone who has pleaded guilty because we've had speeches from Keir Starmer accusing everybody of being a criminal that was involved, and therefore they will be arrested, they will be held on remand, they will go to prison, etc. All of these things, and with the political feeling across the country at the time, and doubtless the advice that she was given that she felt railroaded into pleading guilty. Pleading guilty is not necessarily the same as being guilty for that.
Exactly.
That is a stretch. So many people I've read are saying, well, she's guilty. She did this because she pleaded guilty. That's not necessarily true.
Exactly. And Dan Hodges saying because she pleaded guilty, she's admitting to being a racist. Not at all.
Exactly.
Indeed, In the first police interview, Daniel, she makes it abundantly clear that she is not a racist. In all of her character witnesses that were presented to the judge in this desperate bid for her not to go to jail, made it abundantly clear that she was not a racist. So she knew that she shouldn't have posted the tweet, but it absolutely was not acknowledging being racist. It was interesting. Mark Dolan on Talk TV really was going for Lucy Connolly in an interview with Sarah Pochin, the Reform UK MP, but she's interesting, of course, because she's a magistrate, or a former magistrate. So she really has an idea about the criminal justice system. But I thought Sarah Pochin actually dealt with it quite well. I'll get your reaction off the back, but just watch this first.
Post on X, she was quite relaxed about the idea of migrant hotels being burnt down. Is that a problem for your party?
Look, I think Lucy Connolly has shown remorse, which is very important. As you know, I was a magistrate for 20 years. It's very important that people understand when they have done something foolish. And I think this is that's the right word for what Lucy did. It was foolish. It was emotion, at the time. And we all obviously felt very strongly about what had happened there in Southport. But yes, you know what? I'll be very much looking forward to talking with Lucy myself. As you know, the whole justice brief is an area that I'm very interested in and knowledgeable about. So I will be very much looking forward to talking to Lucy about her experience inside a women's prison. I've obviously visited a women's prison myself during my career as a magistrate. And so, yes, I'll be very much looking forward to having that conversation with her. And I'm sure that she will have an insight from the front line, if you like, that will be very valuable when it comes to setting policies.
Is she a hero?
I don't think she's a hero. I think what's happened is it's an example of two-tier justice. It's an example, in my view, of where the judiciary has been overtaken by the political establishment. And I feel very strongly that politics and the judiciary should be kept separate. And that is why I resigned as a magistrate to fight the by-election for Reform UK. You cannot mix the two. And without doubt, our judiciary has become politicised. And I think Lucy Connolly, and by the way, I have two men in my constituency, Runcorn residents, who have both suffered in exactly the same way as Lucy Connolly has. One has just been released, another, they've both just been released, one on Thursday of this week, the second one. But, their lives have been turned upside down, victims of injustice.
Now, I actually thought Sarah Pochin's response there was perfect. I mean, Lucy Connolly isn't asking to be viewed as a hero, but I think Sarah is right to say, no, of course we should be looking at her experience and what she thinks on this.
Absolutely. I mean, Lucy has had direct experience of the system in the worst way possible, because it was in the middle of civil unrest / riot, which they don't like to label it as, but in the middle of all that, she posted, bearing in mind her horrific background and personal story, she posted in anger, frustration, many of the feelings that many people across the country, if not most of the people across the country, will have shared. Do I think that she really wanted people to go burn down hotels? No, of course I don't think that. I mean, I think she posted that in pure frustration and anger. Yes, it was foolish. Sarah's views on that, I think, absolutely right. She's not to be heralded as a hero, but it was a foolish thing to say. And I think, obviously, I'm always careful about what I say about judiciary, moving on to that point. But I think a lot of people are justified in thinking that the judiciary is politically influenced. I did a poll on my YouTube channel. I think 40 or 50,000 people voted. I said, with the Epping case, the hotel, I said, do you feel that the Court of Appeal decision was politically influenced? About 98 or 99% said yes, out of 40 or 50,000 people. That tells you what the public opinion is.
Big time. Big time, exactly. There's no doubt about that, is there? Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.